Also looking forward to the draft, Peter. It's funny, it wasn't that long ago that the NFL treated Las Vegas like the bubonic plague. They wouldn't talk about it. It didn't even exist. There's no way we're doing business with Las Vegas. Remember, Tony Romo was going to have a fantasy football convention there in a property that wasn't a casino, just happened to be owned by a casino and located in Las Vegas. And they said, no, you can't do it. And now, open arms, because there's plenty of open wallets in Las Vegas. A team, a Super Bowl eventually, and inevitably, and the draft. Next year, not next year, this year, in April, the fountains of the Bellagio will be the red carpet, and they're going to take them out by boat, and they're going to shut down the strip. And did you ever think, Peter, the draft would become what it is now?
I mean, when I saw this yesterday, I said, I'm on the verge of being a get-off-my-lawn guy about this. I'm on the verge of being very 62 years old when I see this. But the more I thought of it, I just said, it's the NFL putting an event on in prime time and wanting to make the people who watch The Bachelor watch the draft. That's what this is. It's all about the rating. It's all about the spectacle. And when I saw that, I said, who cares? When you think about it, just let it happen. Sit back, let it happen. Watch your team. The funniest thing about this, absolute funniest thing, the Cincinnati Bengals, the most dyed-in-the-wool 1950s franchise in all of sports, is going to be the star of the show. And Joe Burrow is going to go up on some sort of gondola boat, and he's going to walk up there, and the camera's going to flash to Mike Brown, who will be vomiting in a pail at Bengals draft headquarters in Cincinnati.
It really is amazing, though, when you think about what the NFL has done with the product that is football and turned it into this larger-than-life event. That's one thing, because there's substance behind the sizzle, right? When the NFL films crew slows down, the snow kind of wafting toward the ground, and the guys running and John Facenda, there's substance there. There's a football game that people care about. What they've done with the draft is even more remarkable, because at its core, it's nothing. They could do it by text message, right? They used to do it in a smoke-filled conference room at a hotel. All of this other stuff that they have built up around it is meaningless. It's all premised on selling hope to football fans who want to see who their new players are going to be. And they have taken that, and they've rubbed it and polished it, and it's grown, and it's grown, and it's grown into something that no one would have ever envisioned it would be. And frankly, if they hadn't had a scheduling conflict at Radio City Music Hall 7 or 8 years ago, it never would have become this road show that has caused it to mushroom into an event that is almost on par, Peter, with the Super Bowl. It's different altogether. But it's what's the second biggest event of the year for the NFL? It's the Super Bowl #1, and the draft is #2.
The reason why it is so big, I mean, you look, for instance, at fans in Cleveland. And I was in Cleveland, when in 2018 for that draft, and I was there when basically the Cleveland Browns picked Baker Mayfield, and I went to a draft party, and I guess there were 10 or 12,000 people at this draft party downtown. And that is what the draft is, Mike. It sells hope in Cleveland. This year it's going to sell hope in Miami and Washington, in all these different places. And so if your season is over in middle of November and your season is a lost cause, what are you going to start to think about? You're going to start to think about the draft. So it's looking forward. It's the building of anticipation. You get the combine, you get everything, and you can't wait for the draft. And now that's the reason why it's become so big, and why the NFL now is trying to capitalize not just on football fans, but this is the first time where I ever said, it's different. Hey, we're going to have the background of the Rocky statue in Philadelphia. Now it's going to be such a spectacle that people are going to have to tune into it to say, what is this actually going to look like in Vegas?
And it's going to get harder and harder as this thing continues to grow for the NFL to get people to not realize in November and December, when their teams are out of it, that it's actually in their interest. If you know you're not going to make the playoffs, it's in your interest to not win games, because the higher you are on that pecking order, the bigger deal your team is for this event that is becoming the biggest thing other than the Super Bowl. And there's a dichotomy between that end of season football and the draft, and it's going to be harder and harder to keep the two separate as the draft gets bigger and bigger. So fascinating times. I'll tell you what, I haven't gone in a long time. I may have to go to Las Vegas for this year's draft.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.